الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والعاقبة للمتقين، ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين، وأصلي وأسلم على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Dear brothers and sisters, I begin by praising Allah Azza wa Jal, and I bear witness that none deserve to be worshipped or unconditionally obeyed except for Him. We thank Him, we praise Him, and we bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam is His last messenger. And we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to send His peace and blessings upon Him, the messengers and the prophets that were sent before Him, His family, His companions, and all who followed His blessed path until the day of judgment. And we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to make us among them. Allahumma ameen. Dear brothers and sisters, as we speak, it's almost 1 year then this genocide has started in Gaza. ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. And after 11 months, many Muslims have started to question themselves. And they are saying, our efforts, our protests, our encampments for Gaza do not seem to work. As a matter of fact, the more we are doing during the last 11 months, the worse it's getting for the people of Gaza. And last Saturday, I was speaking to my daughter in order to participate in one of the protests for Gaza. And she said to me, "Oh, really? I don't want to go." Are those protests changing anything? And honestly, this question bothered me and made me start to think how to best answer such question. And there is an easy political way to answer this question, saying that if we zoom out from the day-to-day crisis, day-to-day operations, we can see that the colonial project of the enemy has never been in a worse state than it is now. And the prospect of free Palestine bi'idhnillahi ta'ala has never been greater than it is now. But actually, there is a more dangerous question going in our minds and in the minds of many Muslims. And they are saying, what is the point of our du'a for the people of Gaza for 11 months now? Is our du'a yielding anything? Are my du'a for Gaza changing anything from what's happening? And actually these questions has made multiple of the Muslims starting to neglect their daily du'a for the people of Gaza. Or even they are making their dua, but with less sincerity, with less yaqeen in Allah Azza wa Jal, with less passion as compared to what we were doing in the first few months or the first few weeks of the crisis. And this is the question I want to talk about today. This is the problem I want to talk about today. And I want all of us to ponder upon it in the light of the lessons we learned from the people of Gaza during the last 11 months of complete tawakkul on Allah Azza wa Jal and complete trust in Allah Azza wa Jal. So if we are going to talk about the dua and its impact for the people of Gaza, first I want to say ما قاله الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم الدعاء هو العبادة. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said the dua is the worship. وَالدُّعَاءُ جُزْءٌ مِّنَ الْإِنَابَةِ. And the dua is the part of our ummah turning back to Allah Azza wa Jal. والله عز وجل قد قال في سورة التوبة وما كان الله ليعذبهم وأنت فيهم وما كان الله معذبهم وهم يستغفرون. So Allah Azza wa Jal has promised our ummah not to punish our ummah on two conditions. The first one, that the Prophet ﷺ is still amongst us and the Prophet ﷺ has passed away. So the second condition, Allah Azza wa Jal will not punish our ummah if we are in a state of seeking forgiveness, of turning back, of returning back to Allah Azza wa Jal. So we need to understand our dua for Allah Azza wa Jal as a part of the turning back of the whole ummah to Allah Azza wa Jal. And the more the ummah is returning back to Allah Azza wa Jal, the more the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal is descending on the ummah and on the people of Gaza. And the more the goodness of Allah Azza wa Jal is descending on the ummah and on the people of Gaza. And I think many of the Muslims around the world now would say that this crisis in Gaza has brought them closer to Allah Azza wa Jal in the last 11 months. And it has made them closer to Allah, made them more worshipper to Allah Azza wa Jal, made them making their dua with more sincerity, with more passion for Allah to save, to relieve the sufferers of our brothers and sisters in Gaza. And the closer the Muslims are getting to Allah, the closer the ummah are getting to Allah, the closer the victory of Allah Azza wa Jal, the closer the relief of Allah Azza wa Jal on the ummah and on our brothers and sisters in Gaza. This is first. The second, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من دعا لأخيه بظهر الغيب قال الملك الموكل آمين ولك بمثله فيكون دعاء الملك لك سبب في استجابة دعائك لك ولأخيك. So the Prophet ﷺ mentioned in his hadith, if you make a dua for your brother, Allah Azza wa Jal will appoint an angel, and this angel will say Ameen, and as you for well. If you want a free Palestine, we should have a specific resilience in each and every single one of us. And it is on our behalf to keep these efforts of resistance globally, not in Gaza. And it is for us not to let this moment go, as the Ummah has let many historical moments went before. So now, when you make your dua to the people of Gaza, saying, may Allah Azza wa Jal descend His tranquility on them. O Allah Azza wa Jal, let your peace descend on their heart. O Allah Azza wa Jal, feed them, water them during the siege on them. Oh Allah Azza wa Jal, give them resilience. So if you're asking Allah Azza wa Jal to give them patience, an angel will ask Allah Azza wa Jal to give you patience. If you are asking Allah Azza wa Jal to give them resilience, Allah Azza wa Jal will give you resilience as a result. And we are in this crisis as an ummah, as bricks of a huge building, supporting each other. المؤمن للمؤمن كالبنيان المرصوص. So we are as one building, one block, a huge global block opposing this oppression, opposing this occupation. And third, we have talked in many occasions about the lessons we learned from the people of Gaza at the matter of their faith, of their resilience. And what we are seeing from the people of Gaza is a miracle, not short of a miracle. But we need to understand that when we are making our daily prayer for them, our daily dua for them, we are seeing the impacts of this dua in this miracle. Because many of the people of Gaza are saying to themselves, we don't believe. We didn't believe that we have this power to oppose all those forces battling them in Gaza for 11 months. It's almost a global, it's a world war. So they say to themselves, this is not our capabilities. There is something else supporting us. This cannot be done without the support of Allah Azza wa Jal. And you are part of this support. You are part of this miracle. Your dua is making you a part of the daily miracle happening in Gaza. It's making you a part of the share of the reward on behalf of Allah Azza wa Jal. So you are part of this miracle because of your daily dua. Do not belittle the impacts of your dua for the people of Gaza. And fourth, Allah Azza wa Jal يقول في سورة الأنعام ولقد أرسلنا إلى من قبلك فأخذناهم بالبأساء والضراء لعلهم يتضرعون فلولا إذ جاءهم بأسنا تضرعوا ولكن قست قلوبهم وزين لهم الشيطان ما كانوا يعملون. Allah Azza wa Jal is mentioning in the chapter An'am, indeed we send messenger to nations before you, and then we sized those nations by hardships and by misfortune in order for them to do what? To humble themselves in front of Allah Azza wa Jal. So when those hardships, when their tests has come from Allah Azza wa Jal, have they humbled themselves in front of Allah Azza wa Jal? No. But shaitan, their hearts become hardened instead of humbling themselves in front of Allah Azza wa Jal, and shaitan had made them attractive what they were doing from disobeying Allah Azza wa Jal. So it's one of the wisdom of this crisis is to return back to Allah, to humble ourselves in front of Allah Azza wa Jal. Allah Azza wa Jal is sending all of the ummah a message to return back to Him. So the normal response of this ummah is to return back, to humble themselves, to make dua to Allah Azza wa Jal, to save this ummah, to relieve the sufferings of our brothers and sisters in Gaza. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فادعوا الله وأنتم موقنون بالإجابة. Dear brothers and sisters, many of the Muslims will say after the first khutbah, okay brothers, so by the way, I made during this year many of supplications to Allah Azza wa Jal, many of calls upon Allah Azza wa Jal to give the people of Gaza resilience, to give them firmness. But I made also dua for them, for Allah Azza wa Jal, to give them victory. So if you are saying that they have done miracles in seeing their firmness, their resistance, so why is the victory of Allah Azza wa Jal for them is delayed? And I say to him, there is two concepts for dua in Islam we must consider before answering this question. The first concept is the hadith from the Prophet ﷺ saying that Allah Azza wa Jal is responding the dua of every Muslim until he says that I made dua for Allah Azza wa Jal and he did not answer. At this specific time, you killed your dua by being impatient, by being desperate in the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. Instead of having trust in Allah Azza wa Jal, you started to be impatient. You started to being desperate. So don't question the timing of Allah Azza wa Jal. Allah Azza wa Jal يقول في سورة البقرة أم حسبتم أن تدخلوا الجنة ولما يأتكم مثل الذين خلوا من قبلكم مستهم البأساء والضراء وزلزلوا حتى يقول الرسول والذين آمنوا معه متى نصر الله. So the Prophet and the believers were tested, were shaken until they say, when is the victory coming? When is the victory of Allah? We are waiting for it. And Allah Azza wa Jalla is responding, ألا إن نصر الله قريب. The victory of Allah Azza wa Jalla, inshallah, is very near. It's very near. But Allah Azza wa Jalla is delaying this victory for wisdom. So don't question the timing of Allah Azza wa Jalla. The wisdom of Allah Azza wa Jalla is to test the believers and to test the disbelievers also, and to test the hypocrites we are seeing in the Ummah. And we all remember what happened in the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ when the Prophet and the Muslims were boycotted and sieged in Sha'b Abi Talib for 3 complete years, with the complete social and economic boycotting. And the food during this period was very scarce. And the Muslims were very hungry until they ate the leaves of the trees, just like the people, at least of northern of Gaza now, eating the leaves of the trees. And many of the scholars are saying that the mother of the believer who died immediately after this siege, after this boycotting, has died because of the effects of malnutrition during what happened during this boycotting. But where is Khadija now? Where is our mother Khadija now? She is in Jannah, inshallah. And do you think our mother Khadija accepts to trade 1 meal in Jannah with those 3 years of starvation? Of course not. Do you think our mother Khadija accepts to trade her palace in Jannah with all her struggles that she saw with the Prophet ﷺ during her life? Of course not. Why? Why? Because Khadija and the Prophet and the Muslims and every Muslim and the people of Gaza understand very well that those struggles in the path of the truth are the price of entering Jannah. So when you have a crisis for 1 year, for 2 years, for 3 years, for 10 years, if you keep patient, if you keep your trust in Allah Azza wa Jal, if you keep your trust that the victory of Allah Azza wa Jal is coming, maybe I will see it, maybe not. But the victory is coming, inshallah. But if I will keep patient, I will take the reward from Allah Azza wa Jal. And as much as I struggled in this dunya, as much as the people of Gaza are struggling in this dunya, Allah Azza wa Jal will give them very, inshallah, very high ranks in Jannah, in the hereafter. And this is the prize. This is what we are all working for in this dunya. So do not ask the timing of Allah. Do not question the timing of Allah. The victory will come, but it is delayed for a wisdom. Do not make this victory delay, make you impatient or desperate about the impact of your dua for Allah Azza wa Jalla. The second concept we need to understand about the dua in Islam and about our dua for the people of Gaza. ما قاله الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم من رواية أبي سعيد الخدري في صحيح مسلم. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: ما من مسلم يدعو بدعوة ليس فيها إثم ولا قطيعة رحم إلا أعطاه الله بها إحدى ثلاث خصال. إلا أعطاه الله بها إحدى ثلاث خصال: إما يعجل له دعوته، وإما يدخرها له في الآخرة، وإما يصرف عنه من السوء بمثل ما دعا به. فقال الصحابة: استبشروا، إذا نكثر يا رسول الله. فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: الله أكثر، الله أكثر. And this is another very important concept when we look to the responses of our dua in dunya. This is the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. Abu Sa'id al-Khudri narrated that the Prophet ﷺ said, every Muslim who calls upon Allah Azza wa Jal with words that do not contain a sin or severing family ties, cutting family ties, except Allah Azza wa Jal will respond to him with one of the three things. He will be responded with one of the three things. The first one is the response of his dua in dunya, immediately in dunya. The second one, Allah Azza wa Jal will keep his dua for him, will store his dua for him in the hereafter. And the third one, so either Allah Azza wa Jal respond for him in dunya, either he will store his dua and the reward of his dua for him in the hereafter, or either he will push back something bad that were coming to him, which is equal to what he supplicated for, what he made dua for. And the companions were very happy with this hadith. And they said, so now we are going to make multiple du'as, great du'a for Allah Azza wa Jal. And the Prophet ﷺ responded, Allah is greater. So whatever du'a you are going to do, Allah is greater. Every du'a you are doing to Allah Azza wa Jal is going to be surely responded by Allah Azza wa Jal. But the problem that the response of Allah Azza wa Jal may come into ways that you do not understand. Allah Azza wa Jal, by His wisdom, will choose for you what is better for you. Is it better for you to be responded in this dunya? Is it better? No. To save this reward for you in akhirah, you will need it. To be saved from hellfire, so it is better to be saved. in the hereafter. Or Allah Azza wa Jal will push back from you something bad which was coming in this way. So Allah, with His wisdom, will choose what's better for you. And Allah is the knows best. Allah is the most knowledgeable and most wisdom. So, when we are making, dear brothers and sisters, when we are making our dua for the people of Gaza, never think that when you make dua with your open hands for Allah Azza wa Jal, that the most generous, Al-Kareem, will return back your open-handed empty. Never will the dua be returned empty, inshallah. So do not be desperate after 11 months. Do not be impatient. Have your trust, full trust in Allah Azza wa Jal. Have your full trust that the victory is very near. Remember your brothers and sisters in Gaza daily, maybe in every prayer, maybe in every sajda, for Allah Azza wa Jal. Because this dua will make you, inshallah, a part of this miracle happening daily in Gaza. And maybe with your dua and with our dua and the dua of our brothers all over the world, the victory, inshallah, will be closer. May Allah Azza wa Jal make the blood and the sacrifices of the people of Gaza and the sacrifices of Muslims all over the world a way to change the path of history, a way to free Palestine, a way to free Al-Aqsa Mosque. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم وأدعو الله عز وجل أن يغفر لنا وللمسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات جميعا وأن ينصر أهلنا في غزة وفلسطين نصرا عزيزا قريبا مؤزرا وأن يسدد رميهم وأن يهلك عدوهم وأن يحرر المسجد الأقصى يا رب العالمين وأن يجعلنا سببا في نصرة إخواننا وأن يهيئ لنا طريقا لنصرة إخواننا في غزة بإذن الله عز وجل. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون وأقم الصلاة. جزاكم الله خير.